So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How are you all today? I could see that my people are already joining. Thank you. Could you just put in the chat room where you're joining from? I've seen Mr. Lupano from New York. Any Floridians here with me? I'm here in Florida. I can see from the UK, people have joined Lagos, Kano. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's know where you're Lagos, Benin City, UK. Beautiful, lovely, lovely. Yes, yes. Enugu, Nigeria. Awesome. Houston. Neka from Abuja, you're welcome. Oh, amazing. Port Harcourt, Abuja, Ogun State, the gateway state. Port Harcourt, FFL from Lagos, FFL, congrats. You know what we're talking about. Lagos, amazing. Oh, Mrs. Objectioner from Abeokuta. Thank you so much for joining from all over the world. That's the beauty. Last giddy, Bega Samuel. Thank you all for joining. Thank you. How many of us were here on Saturday? Can you just put in the chat room? Let those who missed Saturday know what they missed. It was just, oh, amazing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Those who joined. Yeah, it was simply awesome. It was just so fulfilling for me. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was beautiful. Oh, thank you all. You're all welcome. You're all welcome to, and it's the whole week. So let me remind us, it's the whole week. You're all welcome to today's summit. And we have our delectable Mrs. Toyin Bakare with us today. Yet before I go on to introduce her, why do I do this? Why are we organizing this summit? It's because I just love to find areas that I see that actually, if we were to take more seriously, our businesses, our organizations will do even better. And a lot of times we neglect managing our talents. Because what we're talking today, developing the leadership pipeline, is actually tied to talent management. A lot of people think it's just about succession of the owner. No, no, it's a lot deeper than that. It's about understanding the talent you have. How do you make sure that you retain the talent you have? And then you would find out that succession planning, developing the leaders from within is just an aspect of it. So it's something that's so key to leadership. It's something that's so important to the long-term health and success of our businesses. Yet, it's usually an afterthought for us. We're also focused on the vision, what we want to achieve, our long-term goals and objectives. Meanwhile, the people that would help you to achieve those goals, you are not even thinking about. Honestly, it just beats me anytime I really sit down to think about this. And I'm talking from experience. I have been there where we're so focused on our goals, but we're not focused on developing a pipeline of leaders. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's anything to do with leadership. It's my sweet spot. It's what I do. It's what I've studied. And I would really hope that by the end of today, indeed by the end of the summit, we would have changed our mindset about how to ensure that we have a pipeline of leaders for key positions in our organizations or institutions. So I'm going to start with an anagram. I like people to, it's a 21st century, we do a lot of critical thinking. So I'm going to start with an anagram. Can you put the anagram up, please? And the first person to unscramble this anagram gets a prize. I have a prize for you. You don't know what the price is. It might just be, who knows, a PJ or something. You don't know. So can you quickly unravel? You know, some of us have, especially people of my age group, sometimes we are like, you know, not too much learning anymore. So I'm so happy with Joy. Can you unravel this quickly? Quickly. There's a prize for you. What are we saying here?
Are you aware? I know.
Go on, go on, go on. No, just
Something.
put it in the chat room.
Yes,
Just
it's
type it. Type it. The first person to type it there. Abayome, I hope you are checking. Are you aware that success is even more? Go on, go on, go on. You're trying. You're on the right track.
Nobody
Right?
else.
Nobody else. I'm watching too now. Go on, go on. It's important that you're. Are you aware that even important that I missed 2 words? Sorry, you didn't get it. Go
Didn't
on.
get it.
Are you aware that your conscience?
Okay, so someone got it. Bolaji, Bolaji,
Okay. No, where is it?
Bola.
I haven't seen it.
You might need to scroll back up, ma.
Okay, it's the full thing.
Bolaji. Yes,
Okay,
that's the
good.
first person to get
We
it.
have a winner. We have a winner. Can you please put the unraveled word? Put it up, please. Let's see. Let everybody see it. So Bola G, you said Bola G has
G.
Bola G G.
Oh, you didn't get it. Oh, Bolaji didn't get it.
You didn't get it.
This one
Oh,
word.
so nobody
Yeah,
got
me
it.
the word.
Nobody got it. I'm keeping my prize. Oh no.
Uh,
All right.
no.
Okay, because of time, and we put it up anyway. So, okay. Jennifer says she got it.
Jennifer.
And
Kehinde Alage.
okay, got it.
Yes, Kehinde Alage. I hope I got that pronunciation correct.
All right.
So
Okay.
Kehinde Alage,
Thank
the
you.
first.
We have a winner. And please put your number. Maybe later we'll ask for your number so we can send you the gift. It's a lovely book, one of my favorite books of John Maxwell on leadership. Jennifer says she got it before Candy. Okay, so we're going to send 2 books. We're going to send 2. Can you please put it back up? I just want to read it out so everybody knows what it is.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer, we're going to send you something as well. So basically, this is what the anagram said. Are you aware that your succession strategy is even more important than your corporate strategy? David Arger of the Harvard Business School says, your succession strategy is as important, if not more important, than your corporate strategy. Now, the question, and I want this to sit on you for a while. I want you to just internalize this. If this is the situation, why then don't we think more of our succession strategy? Why are we so focused on one area, which is achieving our goals, achieving our visions, making our companies profitable? And it's not only in business, in churches, in mosques, in NGOs. Most of the time, we're so focused on achieving that vision, the objective, and the goals. Yet, we are not thinking of the long-term health and success of our organizations. We're not thinking of the continuity of whatever it is. Either it's a business or an NGO or, like I said, church, faith-based institutions. How come? And I want you to, again, I love people to reflect a lot. I want you to think of your situation right now, whatever you're heading or leading. It could even be your team, the team you lead. How come it's not always uppermost in your mind that who's leading next? Who am I developing when the time comes for me to leave that team, that organization? Be it a planned exit or sudden vacancy for the key positions in your organization. And I'm not, most of the time people see this and they think you're talking about the owner. No, no. It's not only about the iconic entrepreneur or the iconic leader. One person can never make a success of any organization. It's usually a team. So what are you doing about the heads of your departments, about the heads of your subsidiaries, about your C-suite level executives? What are you doing about whatever institution we're talking about? What are you doing about the key roles that you have identified? Because you don't even have to be on a very senior level. It might just be your operations manager. For a lot of us, technology is now such an important thing. What happens if the person in charge of your technology, not even on a C-suite level, leaves the organization? And it's so amazing that a lot of us, we're not proactive about these things. I liken it to, we just had the AFCON games. And anytime we're talking about building a leadership pipeline, we talk about having a solid bench strength. Just imagine during the games, the AFCON games, imagine that you needed to substitute a player, but the people on the bench are not that well prepared. Is it when the person gets on the pitch that you begin to direct? But that is what we do with our companies and our institutions. We wait. Most of us have a list, we have an idea of who can take over that department, or we have a list, but we have done nothing. We've not been intentional about developing that person, about the talents we have, making sure that they're well prepared to take over whatever role it is that you have in mind. And that's what we're talking about today. And on Saturday, it was so, so, so lovely. We had Mrs. Ndidi. She talked a lot about the 5 key steps. She said, in making sure that you have a solid plan for succession and developing leaders, a leadership pipeline, she talked about your values, that your organization, you must clearly articulate your values so people know that there's, you promote and you put people on the pipeline for leadership based on merit and performance. It's transparent. She talked about having clear governance structures. She talked a lot about the board, and that even within your board, you need to have a succession plan. She talked about systems and structures. She talked a lot about your recruitment and retention. Because to be honest, succession planning is not something you do along the line. If we haven't focused on it, we can start now. But ideally, it's supposed to be built into the DNA of your company. Because whoever you employ, you must know that that person can deliver not just on the present goals, on the future, things you want to achieve in future, which means whoever you are then employing ties into that. So you can see that succession planning is already built into the fabric of everything you do, even into your all the strategic decisions you have to make. She talked about humility. I loved that. She said a lot of us as leaders, we don't know when it's time to bow out, when it's time to let other people shine. We remain there, micromanaging, taking all the decisions. I gave an example of how you'll be at, serious meetings and maybe seminars, and you find people on their phone, talking to their workplace, and to them, they're being, I'm so busy. And I always laugh. I just laugh at myself. I laugh at, because really, it is not showing that you're a good leader. If when you are not there, nothing can happen without them disturbing you every minute, that is not a sign of good leadership. So she talked about that. Well, Mrs. Yemisi Edun, excuse me, Mrs. Yemisi Edun spoke about, oh no, they have such a wonderful structure at FCMB. Of course, we know that the CBN regulates succession planning in banks, but I was really, really impressed with the way FCMB actually, because they give them a framework, but then you develop your own plan. She talked a lot about the competency-based assessment. She talked about how to build a leadership pipeline. There's 360 feedback. She said sometimes you build, buy, or borrow stuff in the process of building your own leadership pipeline. She talked about formal mentorship, external people, when you have to bring in external people, job rotation, cross-functional assignments. It was just so beautiful. We will be posting the recording of the session we had on Saturday, and indeed all through this summit, we're going to be posting the recordings. So we are now set for another amazing session today. Mrs. Toyin Bakare, you're welcome once again, my dear sister. You're welcome. I'm going to read her bio. Just give me a minute. Yes. I'm going to read your bio in a minute. Okay, where is it? I have so many things on my, can you quickly resend the bio, please? Okay, I have it here. So, Mrs. Toyin Bakare, she is, in essence, a seasoned entrepreneur, a financial expert, and a visionary leader. She has an array of accomplishments across diverse spheres. She continues to chart a trajectory of success while embodying the values of integrity, excellence, and empowerment. She is a certified fellow of chartered accountants. Her illustrious journey includes leadership roles in in renowned companies and foundations, as she's the COO and executive director of SAS Textiles Limited, a second-generation family business that is Nigeria's home of exquisite world-class fabrics and textiles. I'm sure if I put in the chat box that people should tell us how many people have patronized SAS, everybody will say, oh yes, I have. She, alongside her siblings, transformed the business into a textile retail giant. Toyin Bakare's board membership span Genesis House, aiding disadvantaged women and women in management and business, WIMBIS, where she's also a life member championing gender diversity. A graduate in accounting and an Icon fellow, Bakare honed her skills through Fate Foundation's Emerging Entrepreneurs Program, Leap Africa's Business Leadership Program, the Lagos Business School's Owner Management Program, and Harvard's Business Leadership Program. Elected Fate Foundation's Alumni Community President, she received the 2022 Fate Alumni Model Entrepreneur Award. Balancing roles as wife, mother, pastor, and public speaker, Toyin empowers through her story any way she speaks. Toyin Bakare emerges as a beacon of entrepreneurial success, financial expertise, and inspirational leadership, someone devoted to excellence, integrity, resilience, and empowerment. Can we just give her a resounding ovation and claps and flowers and kisses? Toyin, it's so amazing because I remember years ago, to see what you've done. And I know it's God that has worked through you. I remember years ago, and I'm not going to mention the name of the other people that sold textiles, but there was a time that there was the go-to place at some point in time. Someone who had been there for a long time, and older, and that was the go-to place. And over the years, I've seen SARS through you and your siblings. It's always been there, and you've always done well. But I'm saying that over the years, you have absolutely cornered, taken over the textile market. It is amazing. And it is an achievement that we cannot take, because as in, I have seen you over the years where nobody goes anywhere anymore. If Toyin doesn't have it, SARS doesn't have it. I think you are muted, Toyin. So you are.
I'm on. Thank you so much, Dr.
You're very
Nwani.
welcome. Before we go into this, we asked the question on Saturday of people, and I'm going to ask you that question quickly. If you were an animal, or you needed to choose a leader, for you being a leader or you choosing a leader in your company, which of these 4 animals would you choose to be? A parrot? A dog? A lion? Or a termite? A parrot? A dog? A lion? Or a termite? Which one would you decide to be, and why?
Wow, thank you so much, Miss. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwani. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. And I love that anagram. I actually wrote it down.
Great.
So now I'm going to this question.
Yep.
Maybe I'll choose a lion.
Oh, I knew everybody
So
would choose
the
lion.
lion.
Why? And why?
Okay, so if I don't choose a lion, I'll tell you my second choice. So I'll
Okay.
choose a lion because a lion is like the king of the forest.
Okay.
A lion is that animal that
Ekene
takes
says, "I'm already a
authority,
lion."
wants to be in charge.
Yes, please go on.
Yes, a lion just wants to. Yes, a lion is fearless.
Mm.
A lion does not give up. That lion is very resilient. I watched some movies about lions, and a lion takes on challenges. And I've learned to take on challenges, So,
Lovely.
and a lion just wants to be in charge. A lion wants to be on top of everything. A lion wants to make sure that, you're the king of that business. Everybody, you're.
But have you also thought that lions too can be very autocratic as a leader? Have you thought of that?
Yeah, so that's why I said I would combine a lion and a dog.
Okay, tell me about the dog.
So the dog is loyal. The dog is caring. The dog will watch over you, over you. If he sees an enemy coming, the dog will bark, will roar, So that will be my second. So, I don't know, you can combine a lion and a dog, but
you want to create another kind of animal that you want to have a head of a dog and the back of a lion. So it has to be one animal. But you're right, they all have, dogs are extremely loyal. They're extremely loyal, but sometimes not as assertive, as they should be. My daughter has 2 dogs, and most of the time they're barking. They're small dogs, right? They bark so much, but they're running, but they're barking, but they're running, but they're moving back, but they're barking. So they're very loyal, sometimes not as assertive. Lions are fierce, fearless, they take charge, but sometimes they don't understand how to work together in a team. They lead, you must follow. Termites, nobody's probably will choose a termite, but we know termites. Hard working, they're like they're ants. Hard working, structured, they do what they need to do. The problem is they can't think outside the box because they just follow the rules, And of course, we have the parrot, and everybody will say, no, when I said parrot,
you're too much.
They talk too much, but guess what? They're highly intelligent. How many people can mimic everything they hear? And they mimic without forgetting. It's like there's a recorder in their brain. So they're very, very, very intelligent as well, though they would tell the whole world about your business. So it's just interesting to hear what you have to say and to know that we learn from everybody. Everybody has their strength and their weakness. So good. People are telling, loyalty of the dog, boldness of the lion, intelligence of the parrot.
Intellectual prowess of a parrot. Wow.
Absolutely. So then, are we ready? Please grab your cup of tea, coffee, drink. Just relax and let's just dive into the session for today. So, Mrs. Bakare, I'm going to be asking you a little bit about your journey. Tell the listeners, we have, to the glory of God, quite a number of people here to listen to you. Can you tell us about your leadership journey so far? How your mother started? I've heard your story before. It's very, very, very inspirational. So please go ahead and tell us. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Thank you so much, Dr. Kehinde. And this is such a wonderful initiative. Thank you for making such impact. Thank you for being so intentional. And thank you. I'm a proud medal of parents, and thank you for the, for the transformational work you're doing. Not only am I also a med mother. That's it. Our children are in the boarding house. And sometimes, my daughter says she loves, sometimes I'm thinking, please come back. She said, no, I love a Meadow Hall boarding house as well. So you're doing an amazing job and we're so inspired. Thank you so much. So about my leadership journey. And, when I talk about my leadership journey, I talk about it I like to tell the story of from Yara Itaja to SAS. And, I tell it as, under the tutelage of my mother. So I tell people that, when you talk about leadership, leadership is a process. Leadership is about you influencing people. Leadership is about you replicating yourself in people. And the process is about us getting to achieve a common goal. And so I think I tell people that from the age of 13, I started to help my mother on the shop floor. So we had a store in the house, just called Yara Itaja. And, so from that age, I started to assist her. I
You're muted. Okay.
Okay, so I started by assisting her in serving customers tea and coffee. I started by assisting her with her bookkeeping, and one thing that amuses me is, I think one thing that really influenced my leadership journey is in secondary school. So I went to a school called FGGC Shagam, and I can see a couple of my classmates online. And I was at the age of 14 or so, I was elected to serve in the talk shop. And the talk shop, we're just selling kokoro, selling biscuits, selling gala. This was maybe about 1980, 89, 90. But one thing we did was we had such a great team. And one thing we would do is that we had a watchword. And that watchword was that whatsoever you do it wholeheartedly as unto the Lord and not unto any man. So it was not a coincidence that from selling in my secondary school to fellow students, I started helping my mother sell in the house. So from that age of 13, I would help her. And from the age of 16, I would follow my mother to the market, I would follow her to the bank. In fact, I started taking money to the bank for her. And, and by the age of 18, my mother had passed on. So talking about my leadership journey, it's evolved very, very early. I had to take personal responsibility. I grew up immediately because this was a legacy that she had left behind, and we knew that we had to fill in the gaps. We just couldn't afford to see that business go down. And of course, in ascending on my leadership journey, I had to do a lot of personal development. Go to a lot of business schools, because one thing I know that my mother wanted me to be a chartered accountant. She just wanted somebody. I tell people that where I'm an accountant, quite all right, but I did that just to honor the memory of my mother. But today, together with my siblings, 7 of them, we run a transgenerational business that is over 50 years, and we all work together seamlessly, and we've just had to evolve together. We've built it based on our values of integrity, excellent customer service, hard work, a lot of hard work. But, so in evolving as a leader, I have learned the values of humility. I have learned the values about being vulnerable, about teamwork. I think that teamwork for me is so important, And I think one thing I learned as a leader is that I think the 2 most important things in being a leader, 2 qualities. One was humility and communication. And this was in one of the schools I went to. And, we heard that the greatest quality of a leader is you being humble. Being humble, being vulnerable, being able to, because I work in an organization where I work with my siblings. So my sister is the MD. My brother is the chairman, and we work together in an atmosphere of love, of respect, and we started this at a very, very early age. So I joined the business officially at the age of 18, because that was when my mom passed on. And, at that age, I had to learn to take decisions. I had to learn to take decisions like, because it was in a house, we didn't even have any store. It was just Yara inside that. So it was from that age of 18, we said, okay, it's time to move the business out of the house. And, I just said, the proper thing is, okay, I believe in prayers. Can we just pray about it? Where does God want us to go to? And we opened our first store in 1995. So we opened our first store in 1995 in a building in Sulere Super Plaza, in Akerele. And we were in that building for almost 26 years, before the building, when got burned. But from that, it was just my sister and I that took over the running of the business. For leadership, my leadership journey has been very sacrificial. Building the business to where it is now, making sure that my siblings, were well taken care of, making sure that the family front was well taken care of, making sure that our dad, we call, grandpa, was well taken care of. So, it's just about us having understanding that we were 2 siblings that started, but today we're 7 siblings, and gradually, we all came together and we're working together as a team.
That's amazing, amazing. So the whole family, you're all siblings, same father, same mother. You're all your biological, amazing. Okay. So what is it like, before I go into how you develop your staff? Because I've heard from you, in a way, you learned almost through apprenticeship. So, learning from your mom, sitting on there, learning, watching her, and just building your skills. That is amazing. But before I go into that, can you tell me what it's like? You said you're working with your siblings, everybody, but you're able to ensure that everybody is happy. There's no rancor and things like that. How are you able to achieve that? Do you rotate like the chairmanship of the board? Do you rotate, that the CEO position? And how do you do that? I'm just interested in knowing how the entire family is there, and everything is working seamlessly.
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. One thing I learned, after going through a lot of personal development, capacity building, you must learn to work on your business and not work in your business. You must learn to work together as a team. You must learn to understand the vision and the mission of the organization. We must learn to understand those core values, so that first of all, we had to, define our vision. We had to define our, how we started. We had to define what we led. And so the first thing we did was to put, it wasn't even a registered business. So it was just Mrs. Shola Adedeji, but after she passed on, decided to register the business, have a board of directors, have share that, define the vision, define our mission, understand our culture, of course, we know our vision and communicate it to everybody, our values, interpret it to everyone. So, of course, we have our MD, and our MD, has, because right now I can see that we're second generation now. Even though we took over in 1995 precisely, but the business is actually over 50 years. So we've had corporate governance. We've had to have consultants who have worked on the business, we've had to outsource a lot of things, and everybody understands their role, everybody understands their responsibilities, and it's built on, I tell people that we do business from the heart. We are together with this, my siblings, the management team, we have actually built a great team as well. Our oldest staff has been with us for almost 35 years now.
Amazing.
So we've had staff that have grown with us. Some have been also 30, 20, 15, as they come in, they take ownership. As they come in, they take responsibility. As they come in, they are, we see the attributes that we want to see in them, and we all work together as a team. We all work together as a team. We learn to respect them. We learn to love them. For me, that's so important in, building a great team.
That's great, because I think the family is modeling that. They can see you're all together. And so the people that work with you would also, fall into line. I can see that you're not resting on your oars, you call in consultants, you meet, you all understand your roles, you are all working towards the same purpose. And I think you're all in line, you understand the vision. And I think that's just beautiful. That's just a beautiful thing. And you have staff that have been with you for 35 years. Goodness.
Yes, I still had a meeting with Mama, we call her Mama, and she has her roles. I still had a meeting we had this evening. We needed something from the big market, we needed some packaging, and she's the one that understands it. Even though, we've trained people now to take over, but they understand it. She's able to come and jump into the rush. They come to work every day. When I was talking to you yesterday, I was out of the country last week. I had a meeting in Italy, and I was invited by a company, and on getting there, this company was established in 1663.
Wow.
So that means they are 361 years old now. So they produce wool. They're in their 16th generation now. And so for me, even though I went there for business, well, I found myself talking about their family business. I talked about looking at their structures, thinking that we can do it in Nigeria as well. You know, I remember meeting a fabric company that they were in their 6th generation. They are over, over 100 years. So
Mm.
there's so much that we need to learn. There's so much that we need to put in place, the structures. Business is all for me about systems, structures, and processes.
Absolutely.
I call
Absolutely.
it my SSP.
SSB, good, beautiful. That's just, and that's what we talk about. On Saturday, we were talking about that as well. And Nelly was saying that, when she got into succession planning, it was because she looked around in Nigeria. She actually wrote a book on it, that she struggled to find 100 companies that had been around for 100 years. The best she could find was maybe 50 something years, and things like that. And really, that is really, meanwhile, it's so commonplace here in I've seen schools that some of my children have, passed through, been there for 144 years, 100 years, universities. But in Nigeria, it is not so. And what I say, it's really part of the problem is not being focused on succession. It's something that must be done intentionally and deliberately.
Yes.
And it goes back to what I started with, where we're all just so concerned about achieving our vision, even long-term objectives, but we are not as intentional about how to sustain it and let it, just be on for years, even after we've gone. And that is what this whole summit is about. So, how then, my next question would be, can you share the process of preparing the high potential employees you have? Because obviously you have identified, amongst all your staff, I don't know how many, you would have identified that this person is good. That person is good. What can you just take us through how you then begin to prepare them for leadership?
Okay, so I wanted to say something about succession planning. People talk about succession planning and they feel it's like it's a myth, it's not popular. But for us, it's so important because it's that business strategy that, companies used to pass leadership roles down to employees or group of professionals. It ensures that businesses, they continue to run smoothly and without interruption. Most importantly, especially after people move on to new opportunities, retire or they pass away. So I give an example now. I was only 18. My mom was 48 when she passed on.
Mm.
I wanted to be a chartered. Well, I wanted to work in Chevron. I had my dream job because I saw my mother's best customers. They used to work in, then it wasn't even called Chevron, it was called Gulf Oil. I saw all the managements, I saw them, the way they spend money. I love their frames because I love to collect frames, and I was like, when at least I know my mother will be, doing her work, or that me, I'll go and work in my own oil company. I'm sure all of us siblings, we all had our dream jobs. But we were caught early. We started early. As long as you were in that house, so you must learn how to cut. So she taught us early. And so for us, when we look at the potential of how do we recognize people, that can high potential employees?
Yeah.
I look at people that are, that can have ability to work under pressure. People that are able to take ownership mentality. I look at people that are, people that are internally motivated. I look at people that are, people that, just want to do the job, that understand how to work under pressure, that can multitask. Because sometimes, that are ready to serve, that are ready to work, that are ready to, have emotional intelligence. Those are the qualities that we look at. I look at, people that have integrity, have relationship management. I remember there's one of our staff, she joined us at a very, young age, when she joined us, she had not even done jam then. But it was in her store. She did her jam, and I noticed that from her qualities, I don't know how to say that word in English, but she had oyaya. Please,
Yeah.
who can interpret oyaya for me?
Maybe she's
If you can
enterprising
interpret,
and warm and yeah, please go on. Yeah.
yes, so she had that warmth, which is something that everybody was her. Thank you. Somebody said she had the charisma. She would go the extra mile. And not only did she, she totally studied accounting as well. She went to the school I went to. A couple of them, started like that, because we identified them early and we allowed them to grow with us. They grow on the job, And of course, after NYSC, she got engaged, she got married, like somebody captured her heart. And I was like, that's so much plans for you. But as luck would have it, or as destiny, because after 10 years of leaving our organization, she came back to the organization, especially when there was a gap, and somebody said, are you going to take? I said, yes, we're going to take her one because she understands her vision. She understands her mission. She understands our goal, of being that one-stop shopping. She understands what we want, how we go about attending to our customers. We're not it's not even about selling customers and selling fabrics. But we see ourselves as a global sourcing company. We see ourselves as meeting people's needs. So we understand all these relationship management skills, emotional intelligence, people that can think out of the box, people that are ready to go the extra mile. So these are the things that we have recognized. I remember, I was once on a call like this, and one of our staff is in charge of the male sector. He also attends to our HNIs, and he had just had a fire accident in his home. And somebody was calling me, and she couldn't get to me because I was in a meeting. And the next thing she said, she was going to call OJ. And by the time I called her after the meeting, I said, I saw you were trying to. She said, oh, don't worry. OJ has sorted me out. And I said, wow, this is somebody that is in hospital, but he was able to solve. So people that have a high sense of dedication, people that anytime, we just want to meet the needs of our customers. We see ourselves as adding value. So those are the people, they see those traits in us and we see the traits in them. And we all grow together as an organization.
It's so lovely. It's so lovely what you're talking about. I like the fact that this young lady was with you and she fell in love and she left. And you see, some people would say, why should I actually invest in people? Because they leave anyway. Why should I invest in people? Especially with the jackpot syndrome. They're saying, we train them and they leave. So, but what you're saying is you identified this girl. She was very good and you poured into her, which is why when we're talking about developing the leadership pipeline, it's really, first of all, about building leaders from within,
Yes.
internal,
Yes.
people that you have poured into, people who understand the culture. It might even be just a one-man shop, or two people. It's not only for big organizations. When you have, let's say, two shop girls, for example, and you have taught them and you've poured into them, you don't want to lose them because it's more difficult for you to bring in people and not have a DNA misfit. Sometimes there's no alignment when you bring in people. So the first thing we need to do is exactly what you talked about, which is developing your internal talents, getting them to understand, the business, how the culture of your organization is so key. But now I'm going to ask you, have you at any point in time had to bring in somebody from outside? Have you ever had to employ, someone on the leadership level because you just had a gap and you couldn't find anybody from within to fill the position?
Yes. So for instance, now in areas of like HR, talent management, we intentionally work with consultants, and so we work with them, but we work with them on a personal basis, like as if they are part of our organization. So that is those are the instances when we have to bring in people from outside. So from outside, we have to outsource auditing functions, outsource accounting functions, outsource HR functions, outsource, some things like that. But we work closely with them, and so that even okay, maybe you're trying to go on your leave or something. I say, oh, please just turn and talk to Mr. Sonny. So we see them as part of our team, but they are working with us to develop a great team and develop that corporate structure, develop, building that great team, developing the organization that we truly, 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 truly desire. So there are times we have had to work with consultants, but the important thing is that, we see them maybe as working from a management perspective as well.
So that's awesome, because what I hear you say is it's not everyone that you employ. You probably maybe not necessarily employing people from outside, but you work with external people who can give you, the advice you need, skill set. So that's really amazing. Okay.
And it makes a lot of impact, and they add value as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a poll right now. There's a poll that's going to come up, because I think we've heard enough at this point to even ask a few questions. I want to see how well we're following. So, Mabayomi, can you please put up the poll questions? Let me see. Yes. And I want you to please reflect on these questions and answer the questions. So the first question is, audience, I hope you are with me. Do you believe your organization has a structured leadership development program in place to nurture potential leaders? And I'm coming to ask you, that's the next question I'm going to ask you, Toyin. I want to know if you can tell us what kind of program. Can you tell us how you develop the people that work with you? So how many people believe that they have a very well spelled out development program, leadership development program for their team? Beautiful. Thank you for being honest. Lovely. Because research shows it anyway, that a lot of us, we have an idea. We do a bit of mix and match and, just a training here, something there. But being intentional about designing a program, it is not very common. And this is exactly what this poll is showing. It shows that a lot of us have not developed, a lot of us partially have, but then is it robust? Is it step by step? Is it something that we know is very structured? That like, I wish we were there on Saturday as well. If you see how FCMB explained how they go about their succession plan, it's something to learn. And I'll be talking about the mastermind that I'll be organizing later towards the end of this program. Thank you for this question. Can we go to the next question, please? Which of the following qualities, can you move this up? Which of the following qualities do you think is most important in a good leader? Yes, integrity, communication skills, adaptability and resilience, emotional intelligence and empathy, wise decision making, or all of the above? Anyone? Absolutely. Smart class, all of the above. Which one are you going to take away from a good leader? Is it the ability to make wise decisions and use practical wisdom? On Saturday, we were talking about making intuitive judgments. Is it emotional intelligence? How can a leader lead without empathy, without being emotionally intelligent? How can a leader lead if they're not resilient? Because you would run into many, many dire situations. What does the leader do? Do they hide under the bed and cry? Are they adaptable? Is it communication skills? If you cannot even communicate with clarity, the vision, how can you lead? Or if you do not have integrity, when your word is not your bond. So absolutely, all of the above will be the answer to that. And I think that's the third question. How confident are you in your organization's ability to identify and cultivate emerging talents within your company? People have said very confident. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. You know why I say that? When I asked Mrs. Yemisi Edu, as good as they are in succession planning, when I asked her at the end, something she has learned, she said one thing they learned is not knowing when to put forward the people they have been preparing. So it's almost like you have identified people, but then cultivating the talent and knowing when to let them take the role. It can be a bit tricky. So, okay, people say very confident. I'll maybe take more of the neutral than the very confident. Well done, everybody. Well done. A round of applause to people. So we're going to go on as we begin to round up. I hope we're learning, and I hope we have, gotten quite a lot from Mrs. Bakare. Now, you have explained to us how you groom people internally. You hardly get people from outside, at least not employ them. You work with agents, you work with, other companies that would give you in the areas that that are not your areas of strength, you get people to work with. Now you've developed, I don't know, how large is your organization? How many members of staff do you have?
So we're about 50.
About
50 about 50 years.
And I'm sure that you would have quite a number of leaders, maybe managing each store and things like that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we know that it is said that succession planning and leadership development, they are Siamese twins. That is part of the problem. A lot of people don't see that. They think they function in silos. Succession planning here, leadership development there. Unfortunately, it's not so. It's a marriage that must remain as one. They have to be intertwined, because you cannot be planning for succession without developing the person you are planning for succession. As I said, this topic is very important to me because I went through it. I remember putting people in leadership positions that had not been thoroughly groomed for that position. They knew their onions, they knew their technical areas, but the aspect of leadership had to be taught. It is not by anointing. I say that all the time. Even in churches, I say that, leadership is not by anointing. Leadership is taught. It is taught. So we always feel you just become a good leader. You just know, even when you have innate leadership skills, great leaders are taught. Great leaders are made. It is not, you can have leadership traits, but great leaders are made because you develop yourself. You are taught about leadership. Now, these people you put after you've identified your talents from within, how then do you develop them? Can you tell us maybe some of the tools you use to develop the internal talents you've identified before you then put them in positions of leadership?
Okay, so I like what you said, that succession planning and leadership development, they are actually like Siamese twins. And one thing we have always done is that we believe so much in continuous on-the-job training, demonstrating personal accountability. And so you must always continue to train people on the job. And not just training people on the job, also caring for them, showing them that you care about them, showing that aspect of empathy. It's so important because it's all about people. It's about people. And so I believe so much in on-the-job training, also personal development, then also displaying behaviors and actions, displaying behaviors and actions, that reflect high professional standard. And so for me, when we talk about, when you asked about bringing in external people. So for instance, the need arises when we open new outlets. We have to employ new people now. But what we do is that we take in maybe one of our experienced managers, and nobody wants to go out of their comfort zone. I use myself as an example. So when we started our business, we were just that one store. And when that one store in Sule, my MD and I, attending to all the customers, well, because we learned how to grow organically, but while we were in that one store in Akirele, we're expanding internally. But we noticed that there was time for expansion. We noticed that we're not seeing some customers. And we said, well, why? They said, oh, they don't do the bridges anymore because we started on the mainland. And I said, okay. And that was when I had to go and do my first course, which was in Faith Foundation, which was called the Imagine Entrepreneurial Program. And that was where I learned about corporate governance. I learned about, HR. I learned about, understanding your values, how you can add values, a lot of things, financial management, and it was from there I did a lot of other courses, I went to LEAP, I went to Lagos Business School, and as we're doing these things, we're coming back, to train the people on ground. And, one thing, and so when we have these experienced hands, by the time we have to open new shops, so I had to open. I remember the first store I had to go to was I had to go and open the store on Awolowo Road. And after the store on Awolowo Road was established, I left it. I said, okay, let me go back to my comfort zone in Surulere. And 1 month after, they said, okay, we are opening another branch in ShopRite. And so I said, okay, let's put one of our staff there, And after like a month, it wasn't doing quite well. They said, okay, you need to go and manage that branch, but together we built that team. And so I try to explain to people that let people understand the reason that you cannot afford to see people. You have to learn to move people about. You have to learn to teach them the values. They have to understand the systems, the processes, what to do in each branch, how to be accountable, how to run it effectively without you even being there. And so, so that even right now, even after opening, like I think we've opened VI, we opened VI, I didn't have to go. We opened Lekki, I didn't have to go. We opened other outlets, so we put our staff there and they understand what it means. So that continuous on the job training for us is very important. Teaching them our cultures, teaching them our values, expressing, teaching them about, our structures, processes, and then things that reflect our high professional standards. So that's for me is how we have been able to build our team. And of course, I don't even know half of our customers. I remember going for a conference last year. And I was still trying to introduce myself. Oh, I work with SAS Textiles. And then I said, I know your staff in Ikoyi shop. I know Ify. I know Fumi. And I was like, wow, I was really touched and humbled. So people that I didn't even know that were our customers, but they were buying in other branches. So we make sure that we replicate those same values, because leadership is about replicating yourself, in your team. And I think about our leader, our mentor, the founder of the business. We learned it from her. She was someone that always served. Not only did she serve people, she had empathy. Not only did she have empathy, she understood the value of hard work. Not only that, she understood integrity. Saying what you mean and meaning what you say. So that if I take an order from a customer, I will tell them that if it's 6 weeks, but going the extra mile in that atmosphere of love, just caring for people, despite the challenges that we're going through right now as a business. So those are the things that we've put in place.
That's simply amazing. Amazing. On the job training is so key. Having a plan, a leadership program that in fact, I always say that our organizations should be a professional learning community where everybody is learning. Everybody is learning because
Yes.
you widen your talent pool. So where number one, the organization is already professional learning community, then you also then have a program for those that you want to put in leadership, where you come up with individual development plans for them and you begin to prepare them. So it's so good. And on Saturday too, I'm bringing this in so that people can get some of the things we also talked about. And it's going to be all through the week. So please don't miss any. We also learned about sometimes when in developing people, there is a lot mentorship. Mentorship is so key. You have mentioned it. Coaching. Sometimes it needs to be even more structured, especially for those that you are grooming specifically for leadership. Your coaching skills comes in the skills come in very, very, very useful. Coaching, mentoring. You mentioned one that is so key. Job rotation. When you want to put somebody, you want maybe somebody that you've trained internally, you want to send them to a branch, and you know that they're maybe going to become the CEO or what, you take them around. As they're going around, they're meeting different people, meeting different challenges. That is preparing them, just having a proper structured way of developing your staff is priceless. Priceless. Job rotation is amazing, and I'm glad that you mentioned that as well. So we begin to round up. I don't want to end this meeting. We're going to be taking questions, but before we round up,
okay.
yes, okay, please say what you want to say. Then I have one more question for you before.
Okay. What's the one more question? Let me find.
The question is this. You see, at an interview like this, people hear all the successes and they hear all the good things. And they look at people like you and I and other speakers and think, oh, okay, it's as if we had it easy. Now, what I want to ask is this. I said that last week, I also mentioned it. My son says something that failure is a bruise, is not a tattoo, is not permanent, it's only like a bit of a setback. So I'd like you to share with the listeners anything you have faced. It does not really have to be alone, maybe talking about preparing the leadership pipeline. Anything you've faced in business that was a setback, that was a failure, and how you were able to overcome it. We would love to hear from you.
Okay. So when I talk about SAS, so I talk about from Yara Itaja to SARS. So first of all, it's a story of hope in adversity. Yes, it's a story of hope in adversity. So this is the founder of the business suddenly passes away at a very young age. And, we're like, should we continue? But we said, no, we're going to continue, and as that's the first generation. But I tell you that the second generation of SaaS is about creativity, innovation, and being resilient, which is where I'm going to. I know resilience is about you rising back in the midst of the challenges. And so we're that business that we've been through a lot. We've had our fair share of challenges. People see the glory, but they don't understand the story. And I remember the first one was to move the business out of the home in 1995 into a corporate zone. It was taking us out of our comfort zone because we were just used to the comfort of people coming to us. But, we're able to overcome that hurdle. And, fast forward to 2019. So we opened our first store in 1995, and since 2019, there were no issues, maybe except maybe forex issues, but all those ones, we're that business that just keeps on moving forward. We understand that we're there to add solutions, we're there to provide alternatives. We understand our work, we have to meet the needs of people that are doing weddings. People, in fact, we became emergency services during COVID-19. That was when we had to redefine our values because people needed to bury their loved ones. We understand. We had to redefine our terms. And now, so I'm going to 2019 when we had a fire incident. And in that fire incident, we lost our entire warehouse. And I think, that was like, where are we going to start from? But because we had built a formidable business that had such goodwill,
Mm.
we knew that. So immediately, so with that business that once we have a challenge, we move forward, and that was 2019. And so while we were trying to renovate and look for a new property, we moved to our other stores. Communication is very important. We spoke, we communicated across branches. Then COVID came and NSAS came, which is one of our greatest challenges. And during NSAS, I remember it was a store in Lekki.
Yeah.
And they told us that they were attacking the supermarket there. I said, don't worry, they will not go to SARS, But the next thing, I got the picture of that they had entered our stores. See, that was not enough. They now came to the store in Surulere. And by now, I thought I was going to, I don't want to use the word,
I
but
know.
yes. But I remember going to that scene the following morning, and we saw that our old store had been vandalized, and the calls started coming in. But what did we do? We first of all said thank you to the Lord, and immediately we said we're going to start again. And to open a store in my house, because now we were 5 stores then, and we suddenly became only 1 store. And the only store that was standing was our store on Awolowo Road. And so the remaining things that were left, we bought it back. It was now, it came to my house in Surulere then. And I thank God for what we call goodwill. I thank God for what you call network. I thank God for people surrounding us. We had such people supported us. And inside my house, so my house became another Yara Itada. And so we had our teams divided into 2. So one team was up to our security that we outsourced. The security was at the store that was being renovated, and it would be directing people to my home. We made sure that we didn't give up. And it was during December period. So we were quite resilient. And our staff, everybody would come to the house, would all work together, we would strategize. Some people would turn my sitting room to, another lobby. But in all of it, we were meeting the needs of the people. We had to rise up. We had to keep on doing what we did. And after 2 months, all our stores were opened back. So we're able to open Surulere and Lekki back. And after like a year, we opened our flagship store back. So we realized that we had work to do. We're adding value, and we said we must not give up. Not only that, we had a team of people that were supporting our staff, who really stood by us, and together we were able to bounce back. And we're so glad when the store was opened back. We could have said we were not doing again, but we said, we continued, and because we saw the bigger picture. We saw ourselves building an institution for generations yet unborn.
Amazing. In the chat room, can I just say the claps and praise God? And amazing, amazing story. Such resilience, such vision. And the fact that your team stood by you, that shows that you have developed a pipeline. You have developed a crop of people. I say that motivated staff are amazing, but engaged staff, they are the ones that are priceless, because they're as hardworking as motivated staff, but they are personally invested in the business. That's engaged staff. They're emotionally, psychologically invested in the business. And those are the ones, they stayed by you. They stood by you. They were just with you. So it's just amazing, amazing, amazing what you have done.
I wanted to add something. People always say, okay, so how have we done it? What is our secret? And I tell people that the most important thing is trust. We have learned to trust one another. We have learned to maintain the trust. We have learned to respect our family values. We have learned to have effective and open communication. We have learned to respect. Humility is so important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Humility, respect, both our internal and our external customers. Understanding purpose for me is so critical, adding value at all times. We're that organization that we've been ready to evolve and innovate. I was at an exhibition last week in Paris, just trying to see the new things we can bring on. And of course, we also understand local content. So we understand our corporate social responsibility. We understand that we have to support the local people, understand that we have to support our community, be socially responsible as well. We make sure we practice good governance. For us, it's so important, and I also say something that I've learned to separate myself from the business. So I tell people that my name is Toyin Bakare and I work for SARS, and I respect the system, because the only time when people want to fight us is when it's time for price. I'll say, I don't even know the price. To look at the system. Because I have a management that foresees everything, and I respect them. I respect the values of SAR. So, one thing that has helped us in succession planning is that you must learn to resolve conflicts immediately. In fact, I tell people that I have a degree in conflict resolution, because in conflict and resolution, because it was one of the courses I did. And so the times when they do their transactions and I don't get involved, it's only when there's conflict, the customer will call me. It did so and so, now immediately we resolve it. So we resolve and conflicts immediately, and we make sure we're committed to meeting our customers' needs. That's so important for us. Thank you. I just wanted to add that as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Priceless, everything you've said. Now you can imagine how much you put into this, and then not having people to pass it on to. That is what we're talking about.
Succession planning.
Yes. We put so much. Imagine all, the focus on customer service, which we all know. Anyone that has ever patronized SARS will know that. You are who you say you are. As you're smiling, oh, auntie, and you're so warm, and so all and everyone that works with you. Can you imagine not passing this down to the people that are there with you, working with you? That is what, because you've talked about it. Sometimes it's not even when something bad happens. Sometimes people retire. Sometimes there's expansion that you have said. I say about myself all the time, I would remain in that small space if I had not understood developing leadership pipelines. But because I have empowered leaders, developed leaders, given them autonomy, I'm able to express myself in so many other ways. I'm able to expand, my business in so many other ways. But what we find is we continue to micromanage, so we remain small. That is what happens. We can't put so much into our businesses and watch the business die or remain small because we have refused to empower other people. So thank you so much. We're going to ask a few questions, but before I go into that, I just want to talk quickly about the mastermind putting together. Popular demand. Everybody asks me, okay, how do you do it? How did you acquire another business? What do you do? How are you away? When COVID happened, I was away for 6 good months just because I was locked down in America. I didn't know I was going to be here. I was locked, but the school went on seamlessly because of the structures I put in place, because of the leaders I had developed. And that is the story of my own. I talk about how we started as one company. Today, to the glory of God, we have 7 companies, not 7 schools. People say group of schools. I'm talking about 7 companies. How have we been able to do that? It is by empowering people, empowering leaders. And so I'm organizing a mastermind. It's going to start early April. From tomorrow, there will be a link where people can get on calls to ask me about the mastermind. It's how we can build leaders. How do we manage talents, from recruitment to retention to building this leadership pipeline and crafting a succession planning strategy. How do we, come up with a strategic management system? All those things that we need, succession management system and all that. So please book a call. I want to see everybody at the mastermind. Don't let us put all this effort into building our companies and then we become part of the statistics of those who started our companies or churches or NGOs, and they do not, they do not last for a long time. That will not be our story, in Jesus' name. So we're going to take a few questions. Mrs. Bakare, are you ready for the questions? So I have a few questions, and let's see. Someone says, I'm working in an organization where my boss does not allow leaders to make even the smallest decisions. This is very crippling. Please, how do I help them? What would you say? I really wish we had invited your boss, or you could have invited your boss. That there's this topic that Dr. Nwani is looking at on succession planning. Would you like to be a part of it? But I don't know what Toyin has to say to that.
So you are working in an organization where it feels succession planning is unpopular.
It's not.
So first of all,
please go on. Yes.
So first of all, we need to understand his fears. So I think you understand his fears, his concern, because people always, there are some unpopular things that they think, oh, succession planning, that means my position will be taken over. No, but the joy there is for me. The joy in it is for me to see that, oh, I can go out of the country, I can be away from my business. I've had instances where I had to go for surgeries.
Yeah.
The business continued. And so succession, what you have to understand that that person, it's about knowledge. Knowledge is power. It empowers us. So that person has to know that, no, you need to have someone else. You have to train people. For instance, now, I look at the way we learned from my mom. She taught us everything. She didn't know she was going to pass on at a young age, but we learned how to attend to customers. We learned how to go to the market. We knew all our suppliers. We knew all our customers, everything about our business. I knew it from a young age. I knew about our bankers. And so, when you look at the fears, when people say, oh, my successor will not be able to do it the way I feel it should be done. No, they can do it better. Or you think that, oh, the business is built around me. I do not think any other person can do it better. No, there's a generation out there, capacity building, personal development, that they can do it more excellently. So we are the ones that will tell, because nobody knows tomorrow. Every day is a gift. And so you must put your house in order, and you must continuous development, vision casting. So that person has to understand that you have to be vulnerable. And I think sometimes you can just have an open meeting and be real.
Absolutely. I feel that Chika, thank you so much for that, Toyin. So I feel that Chika, you're just going to have to have a meeting with your and you can tell the leader that it's not really about just the overall leadership position. It's about the key positions in the business. So when you approach that leader with maybe with humility, letting her understand that you are not here to disrupt things, but this is what you have learned, and you would like to also teach the other leaders, maybe heads of departments or heads of sections, and then. But it's difficult for leaders who have not been trained, and that's what happens.
Yes.
And I think even this summit is a good one. Just tomorrow, we're going to have Mrs. Ibukawoshika. Thereafter, we have Mrs. Nneka Onyali Ikpe. We have so many speakers. We have Funke Amba. Just say to her that there's this summit going on, and you just want to invite her and other leaders in the company. Okay, so anonymous, somebody who's anonymous says, what if the workplace is a toxic leadership, learning leadership environment that hinders leadership growth, succession, toxic bosses, rivalry, competition. You like the workplace culture, but there are always bad eggs within the company. What do you do? And we will take one more. I think that's also in line with the next one. How do you handle betrayals and backstabbing? So that would be maybe people you've trained, and then they're just backstabbers. They betray you. They leave you without batting an eyelid. Things like that. So do you want to attempt that? And then we'll just take one more, please, so that we can want to 6:30 on the dot. Yes.
Okay, so how do you deal with bad eggs? How do you deal with bad eggs in an organization? So first of all, the culture of that organization has to be defined. You know, what culture are we building? Because I know the culture we built in our own organization. It's a culture of love, it's a culture of respect. So that even I tell, for instance, if we have someone that is like a bad egg in our organization, I will call the person into my office. I will not I will not talk to you publicly, but I'll call you. I'll first of all find out what's the matter. I will connect with you. I will tell you that, are you tired of the job? I would explain our vision, our culture. I will find out their personal issues. It's called inscaping. I'll find out what's the matter, connect with them emotionally. Then another thing is that you can, need to change them, because I can tell you personal experiences of someone that she was such a bad egg. My constant intervention, she's one of the best people on our team now. In fact, no branch wanted that. They wanted to hire, wanted to fire, but I said, no, just bring her to my own branch. No, I said, you see a transformation. And so you can provide positive intervention. You can offer coaching, mentoring, but intention is so important. Don't just give up on people.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
On people. So, and you can influence it. That's what leadership is about. It's about influencing, and if they refuse to, then they might need to go. If after doing that, and you can't see any change, then they might need to go.
Thank you so much. The next question says, when you have in a small organization identified the next in line and invested in them, but suddenly they leave for greener pastures, what do you do? Just suddenly to Canada or to the UK.
Yes, and this is a very interesting question. And I remember on Saturday, we had a conference we had our business outlook for Faith Foundation, and this question came up as well. And, we had Mr. Kulele Butse for KPMG. And he says it was happening in their own organization as well. And they will have trained them the best sons, all of a sudden they've jackpot. He says you must have a pool of people. Don't just have a pool of people that you can. So we do that in our organization as well. So it's not just one person that is on a particular day. So there's nothing wrong with training people. Life happens. People have to evolve. In fact, that is the success. When you have trained people and, they go, but make sure that there are other people. And I tell people that when you have to go, please go honorably, go the proper way, but make sure that there are other people that you're training as well. Make sure that there are other people that are understanding these people, so that it's all about capacity development. Have a pool of people that you are training, so that when there's a gap, you can easily feel it, because we have had issues where we've had gaps in our organization, but we've had to reshuffle, we've had to upgrade, we've had to make sure that there's no void. So as you see a gap, you quickly fill it in forward.
Absolutely. I feel that everything you've said, it's about talent management. And in managing talent, part of it is developing that pool. A pool is not one person, a pool of people. When you have a pool of people, when this one leaves, there will be somebody else. So, and I feel that also when we concentrate on talent management, some people that leave, they leave because they don't know where they're going to be in 3 years' time. There's no clear career path. They don't know. You are not treating them as, you haven't told them, I've identified you. I really feel that you're one of the people that would like to, to be heading one of our departments sometime later on, I'm going to start investing in you.
Thank you.
We're going to have an individual development plan for you. You're not telling them any position, by the way, but you're just letting them know that I have plans for you. I have identified strengths in you. And you begin to give them extra mentoring, coaching. You begin to put them around, and I'll talk about job rotation right now. So when some people know that, now we might not be able to compete with countries, those that want to seek better, greener pastures abroad, you might not be able to control that. But guess what? Some of them that will be going from pillar to post within Nigeria, you might be able to stop that. Because when I know that you have plans for me, why really do I want to go somewhere else? When I know that you are developing me for something. So I think that kind of ties into talent management, proper talent management. And yeah, okay. And then somebody, final question asked about job rotation. Job rotation is very simple. When you're grooming somebody for a leadership position, you need to understand that it's beyond the technical know-how of that person. So what I've done, for example, simply, the person maybe starts working maybe in marketing, and then the next time you put the person with HR, thereafter you put the person maybe in finance, thereafter you're setting up another business, you put the person that's cross the business, you put the person somewhere else to see how the
gaining exposure
exactly from scratch. So that's just getting the person to trying to widen the person's experience as much as possible. And so now we've come to the end of the program. Mrs. Bakare, another round of applause for her. Right.
And so thank you so much, Mrs. Nwani. Thank you, Dr. Nwani. Thank you. And so my final advice to everybody is, on this journey, be vulnerable. It's a strength, and it's not a weakness. Personal development is a journey. Get a mentor, build your staff, and they'll build your customer base. Thank you so much, ma.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. We're going to have another explosive summit. We have a Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika tomorrow. It's going to be loaded. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for staying for this long. God bless you all. Bye. Bye. Thank you so much, Toyin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Bye,
Nwani.
everyone. Thank you. Bye. Funke Agunkoya, bye. Oh, my people. I can see my people there. Bye, everyone.